Hello. This is behind the scenes of a 6-year garden and things I wish I had known sooner. But you know what? You can only really learn this stuff by actually doing. So I'm Nicole Smith of Smith Ranch. So this is where the magic starts. We do a lot of our vegetables and things from seed. Anything basically that's an annual, I like to take from seed because it seems like a lot to spend $3 on a little baby plant, especially when sometimes they don't actually last. So we tried many different ways of storing our seeds, and it's always an organization issue, right? So we found these Ryobi containers that have these little pockets in them. Go away. And so I have flowers, warm crops, and cold crops. So that's kind of how I arranged it. The flowers are alphabetical because we're anal like that. And then the warm crops are more arranged, and these are beans, corn has its own little bucket, and these little buckets come out too, which is kind of fun. So they all come out. I wanted to do it that way. Corn, cucumbers and melons, kind of in the same group, vining type things. Squashes, whether those are summer squash or winter squash, we have those all in this bucket. And then some random stuff like okras, peppers, and tomatoes, and tomatillos. Those are all kind of the same family. And then all of our herbs are right here. So all of those. And then we have our cold weather crops. And these are things that are best planted either in the middle of winter or late in the fall when it's not so hot. Otherwise, they bolt really quickly and then you lose it. So, and then I do have eggplant in this bucket too, which seems weird because that's a very warm crop, but you want to start it. She's looking up here, like going to jump. You want to start it in the middle of winter. So I put it with my cold weather crops. I remember to do that because I didn't do that this year. So every year, whatever. Some years I do, some years I don't. Like, I'm really bummed. Shooting stars is one of my favorites. I wanted to start that one, but didn't get to it. So we'll have to buy eggplant this year, which is fine because I'm the only one that eats it here. So we've got our spinach and oriental greens, mustards, bok choy. So these are the ones that really love cold weather. They will actually survive. I've seen bok choy get snowed on and it didn't care. And then I've got my lettuce. So I can still grow this through the summertime, but it typically wants to be in shadier areas. We are in zone 7A over in eastern side of Washington. So we have summers that get pretty hot up to hundreds for at least a good week or two. And lettuce doesn't really enjoy that as much. So. And then we've got our peas, also cool weather. The brassicas, there we go. I was trying to figure out the word. Brassicas, broccoli, cabbage, kale, cauliflower, all of those. And then our root vegetables, our carrots, our beets, our parsnips, radishes, things like that. So that is how I organize my seeds. And these are nice because they can close together. They even lock together. And they will actually keep the mice out because we've had that problem before. So, all right. This is our little potting station, a great little place for us to plan things out. But let's go to the DIY nursery. Come on, Nimsy, let's go check on the plants. Come on, Meow. Go check out the little baby plants. All right, so now that it's no longer freezing, we had started a bunch of plants inside on potting mats that were nice and warm and bring them out during the day if it wasn't freezing, depending on the plant. But now that it is above freezing consistently at night, we can safely leave our babies out here. Cole made these little tables here. These are little potting tables, so it makes it nice and easy. And we have some that we've already potted up, others that are just getting started. Hello, sugar daddies. And then others that are behind me this year, guys. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? Every year, a little bit different, and they always catch up. So even though I'm behind on putting in all of my peppers and tomatoes, Brad's Atomic Grape on the right there is one of my favorites. Dr. Witchy's yellow tomatoes. Oh, they're big slicers. A lot of these seeds I get from Baker Creek. They have really good quality. They've got varieties that you will not find hardly anywhere else. I've got some kale, lettuce, herbs, cucumbers, zucchini, a lot of zucchini. And then I've got a bunch of flowers here that I'm excited. The lupine I'm really excited for. They get really big and beautiful. We also have stalks, anytime stalks, a variety. These guys right here, they get almost up to 5 feet tall. So where are we going to put those? Accidentally put some in the back. And then we've got some other blue corn. Hey, get off me. Mexican sour gherkins, melons, patty pan, basil, tomatillos, more tomatoes. I love tomatoes. My husband actually doesn't like them. That's fun, but that's okay. So that is and then we've got some dahlias. Our dahlias don't really like our soil in winter, and they tend to rot in the ground, so we have to pull them up. So this year I'm putting them in pots so they can just go in the shop. You don't even have to worry about it. And then on the back patio, I do have some others that are a little bit need more care. So it's nice to have these close to the water source so I can keep them nice and watered. We have our nasturtium. These here, again, because it gets really hot in the summer, I don't put these in the sun. I've learned that the hard way because they will die. So we're going to keep them in the shade this year. So the petunias and the parsley and the coleuses, these are all surface so I need to keep them damp. So it's nice to keep them right next to the water supply so I don't forget. And these are my house plants that I bring out, and some hostas that I'm growing to put someplace else later. Let's go. Here we go. And this is our little French kitchen garden, our little herb garden. So you can come out here and just grab some stuff. We have chocolate mint, marjoram. Oh, it's beautiful right now. That is rosemary. We cut it back pretty hard, but it will really take off here soon. These are chives that are starting to put off their little buds, and those are edible, by the way. They're delicious. That's our little tiny thyme. It got really big, but I had to cut it back because it was unruly. Some miscellaneous stuff that resowed itself in the pot. That is our English lavender, pardon me. English lavender is the edible type. The Spanish lavender is more for fragrance. It's a little pungent, so we don't really eat that. Oregano that loves to just sprawl everywhere. Another volunteer bucket. We'll see what comes up in there. Looks like there might actually be some lavender in there. And then this is tarragon. Tarragon dies down in the winter and then comes back every year. It's really delicious. A tarragon butter is lovely. And then this back here is lemon balm. I put just a little bit of lemon balm back here. This stuff loves this corner and it just goes wild, and I'm okay with that. And you can weed whack this and it doesn't care, because my husband does it to it all the time because it gets out of control. It does send out runners, so that's kind of a downside. But if you want it to fill a space, this is a space. So this gets a little bit of afternoon sun but morning shade, afternoon shade. Kind of a weird spot, right? There it is, the garden. We are still in the hot debate of what is going to go in the blank spot where the Asian pear was this last year. I was there for about 2 years and decided to die. There's various theories about what happened with that tree, but we're probably going to replace it with either just a Bartlett pear or something else. We're trying to not do another stone fruit, or at least my husband's trying to not do another stone fruit, even though I love them. This is our apricot tree. This thing is happy. Look at all those apricots. This thing is going to be prolific this year. Oh my goodness. So my husband has been the one who's been coming in and trimming these and shaping them. So we're trying to get a nice chalice shape and easy for us to harvest. Now, I don't eat that. Yeah, that's not, He likes to eat the apples. Yeah, you're not helpful, especially with this little dwarf apple tree right here. We actually got this I bought this at Costco for $5 one year, and it sat in a container for 2 or 3 years. And it's a little slow, but it's taken off. We're gonna have some apples on it this year, and these apples are huge. So you're gonna notice these green traps right here. These are for codling moths. Their larvae are in the ground, and they scurry up the tree, and they plant themselves inside the fruit. And you don't notice it until you might see little pinprick holes in it, but when you open it up, it is rotten inside, because they harvest out and then put their larvae inside of the apples, and then they hatch in there and they eat the apples, and it just rots from the inside out. It's terrible. Oh, we're gonna have lots of fruit on this tree. Look at that. But these traps, we get them off of Amazon. They actually work pretty well. We do have to replace them every month or so because they just get beat up and damaged by the wind. So it's just a little sticky trap, and it has a bait that you place in there, and Cole puts something to prop it open, so because the wind and everything beats them up and they close up in that way. This is our other apple tree. This is our 5-in-1. So this is a grafted tree. All of these branches are different types of apple, which is a really fun way to incorporate different types of apples into your garden without having to have a ton of trees. It's all in one. And it really wasn't that expensive. This was my fancy pluot tree. I think we're actually going to get some fruit this year. This poor thing had a hard time. It got completely annihilated by aphids one year, and we had to chop it down to basically just a stump. And we're like, I need this. So we're actually going to get some fruit this year. We do have some flowers, and luckily no late frost this year like we did last year. That damaged a lot of the buds that came out. So hopefully we'll get some fruit this year. That'd be fantastic. The tulips are pretty much done. I do have some that we had just planted in winter, so those ones are still just coming up. That daffodil is not going to spot for me. I think I need to move it. I don't think it's getting enough sun. These other daffodils are ones that I had just planted this year with my husband, so they are actually looking quite happy. Oh, just gorgeous. Hello, beautiful. The peonies are starting to come, the buds, and we're one of those, we don't necessarily prune for giant flowers. I like quantity over quality, I guess you could say. So I let them go. You just walk wherever you want, little dog. All right. So we re-edged the beds, put down a little bit of fertilizer just around the roses, but the rest of it is just compost. So a top dressing of compost. We let the worms do the rest of the work. My irises are about to ready to pop. The roses look really good. Cole takes really good care of the roses. He's our rose man. He's my sniffling. It's cold out here this morning. More roses, more irises. This bed of irises right here needs to be split. Look at those. They go nuts. So any of those that come back every year and propagate themselves, we like those. So Johnny Jump Ups, fantastic, aren't they, Nimsy? These little guys right here will reseed themselves. So if you don't want them everywhere, I suggest not having them. But they pull up really easily, so you can thin them, but they just keep coming, and I love it. They're one of the first flowers to bloom, and they're actually kind of frost hardy as well, so they'll last later into the season. They don't like the heat, so they kind of die back in the heat a little bit, but if they're in the shade, they do okay. But they're just fantastic. Irises, very fantastic. Roses, pretty dang hardy. Some of these were suffering a little bit, but you can see those ones are quite happy. They do want full sun. Tulips and daffodils. The daffodils we had to replant. I lost a bunch of daffodils, but I think that's kind of normal. You're supposed to be more replanting those. My tulips tend to come back. The tulips are pretty hardy. I like those. Look at these Johnny Jump Ups. I did not plant these. You guys just volunteered. All right. Our wine grape arbor. We haven't trimmed it yet. We also have not weeded in here yet, so stop looking at it. If you don't like it, come weed it. We would welcome the help. And then we have more roses back here. We're trying to make sure that they get enough sun because some of them are suffering. Like this guy right here. Never mind the thistle. We're going to be pulling all of that. All right. And go around the side. One of the things too, this greenhouse we bought, it's about 4 years old. I hate it. I just hate it. It's terrible. We had to move it a couple times and then actually dig down and secure it to a base because it would just fly away. It was not secure at all as far as the winds we get here are pretty bad. And now I hardly use it because it gets too hot in summer. And I put my arbor there thinking, oh, that'd be great. Have some shade in there, but it doesn't button up well enough in the winter to actually propagate our baby plants. So if they're frost tender, they'll freeze. And the wasps just love it. So it's a wasp den. So we use them more for storage right now. It's pretty ugly. Sorry. More volunteers. This one isn't a volunteer. This is a freckled viola. This one dies back in every year and then dies back in winter and comes back every year. That is a volunteer lavender. Whatever. Sometimes we just let things go. It's called cottage gardening, guys. All right. The other important thing every garden has is compost. So we have quite large compost piles because we have a quite large piece of property and a very large garden. And we do bag the clippings from the grass more because then we don't spread the seeds everywhere, but then we dump it over here. And this is our giant compost pile, which the dogs just love. And then we have to borrow my parents' tractor to turn it because it is so large. So this is the green pile. That's the fresh stuff. This is about the middle stuff. Get him, Nimsy. So that's the middle pile. And then you can see the difference here. This is actually commercial grade compost. So notice how dark it is, and it's a little bit finer. It's got less twigs and things in it that the home compost has. And it tends to have less seeds as well because it's cooked at a hotter, higher heat and kills those seeds, whereas home compost usually doesn't cook that hot. We have our blueberry bed. Also needs to be weeded, and we need to put some acidifier in here. But look at that. That is my Jelly Belly. I also got that from Costco, and it was in a container for about, I don't know, 5 years, and then transplanted here. And the rest of these are just like your typical, I don't know what they would call them. They're blueberries. Our raspberries, we have a mix of early and late raspberries in here. So good luck figure out which ones are which. We're going to use the 3D rule. If it's dead, diseased, or damaged, and then we're also going to just clean it out for airflow. And then we hope for the best. Don't cut off anything that already has a flower on it because that is a piece of fruit that's trying to develop. This is our love rose. This one is called Passionate Kiss. This is where Cole proposed to me. So I planted a rose bush here so we remember where it was. So it's way back in the day when there was nothing out here but gross pasture weeds. And so he built this obelisk around it. And it was a little rose tree, and now it's turned into just this climbing mass. But all of these little buds are these beautiful light pink roses that come up. And it's just gorgeous. And it will bloom at least twice if we deadhead it. It is going crazy how tall that is. You can see some of the weeding work that we've done so far. So I have a lot of work to do, guys. Not gonna lie. Oh. So this is a fun little table that Cole made. One of the things that we ran into is harvesting, especially all of the greens and things like that, and washing them in our tiny little house. We have a little less than 400 square foot house. So our kitchen is small. It was kind of a pain. So he got this, we bought this basin. I need to clean it out. We bought this little basin from Habitat for Humanity, and he found these plans on one of those websites that has those DIY stuff that you can do. And he made this washing table for us, which is fantastic. So we need to get it cleaned off and ready to go. But when we're harvesting, we can come out and wash everything here and let it dry and then bring it in the house. We also have our little lean-to shed. This was our little COVID shed that he made for us. Also need to clean this out. Are you gonna go in there? I don't recommend it. It's kind of dirty. So we have some storage out here. I need to go, actually I've gone through most of the chemicals back there. So we have some fertilizers, and we also have some other things we do use a little bit of Roundup here and there, guys. We do as organic as we can around the food, but with 1.4 acres, I swear, sometimes you just got to get rid of some stuff. All right, let's go in the garden. Okay, this time working from the back to the front, we have got asparagus. And we also have bronze fennel that reseeds itself. And we're going to thin that out because these things get ginormous, like a good 4 feet tall. They taste like black licorice, and they're delicious on salads. Just love them. And then the flowers bring beneficial bugs. This is our asparagus bed. We have some spots where our little baby asparagus didn't make it, so we need to reseed some places. But overall, this bed has been doing pretty well. It takes a while for it to get established, but then it'll keep producing for decades. And it's so delicious. We love asparagus. It's one of our first vegetables that starts coming up. This is horseradish. That guy comes back every year. It dies down in the winter and comes back. The rest of that is just weeds. We just need to weed that out. Back here, I put in the mixed anytime stalks. These are going to get as tall as that fence, probably taller. Beautiful multicolored flowers at the top. I'm so excited for those. And they're supposed to be hardy in this zone. We'll see if they last the winter. And then I put some zinnias at the end because honestly, I messed up. I didn't mean to do that. And there are more zinnias over here. And then we're going to put more flowers on the outside bed. And then these are our alliums. We have Lots of chives. I need to deadhead the flowers, but we leave a lot of this stuff over winter. And then we have the bunching onions, which are just about ready to bloom. And the bees love these. We don't really eat very much of these. Do more of a low FODMAP thing. We'll eat the greens. We do need to get these cleaned up a little bit, but they last forever. Once you plant them, they're here to stay. That is more English lavender on the other side of the gate there. These need to get cleaned up, but we don't have anything to put here yet. So just need to get everything cleaned up, get this thistle out of here. This is the worst year for thistle I've ever seen. I've never come out here and seen any weeds in the spring. It's kind of crazy. We've actually done really well once we got it established. I think it's because it was blowing from the side of the road right there. I actually went over there and weed whacked, and I'm going to make sure I stay on top of those plants because once they go to seed, it's all over. Look at this. This is sad. Our strawberry bed, it's a hot mess, guys. I'm not going to lie. We should have gotten in here before it started blooming to clean it up, and we're still going to get in here and clean it up even though it is starting to bloom. We might lose some fruit, but it needs to breathe. It needs a little bit more air. And then we've got our grapes here. These are our table grapes. So they're seedless and they're just wild. We used to have an arch that went over just like one of these, but found that honestly it was too much to handle as far as keeping it contained nicely. And then when you walk under it, there's a lot of the wasps really like the fruit, which is not fun to try and walk underneath that. This seemed to do a lot better last year. We just need to hack it way back. We'll find where the buds are and really cut it back and it'll do fine. We should have done this sooner, but again, this is how gardening goes, guys. Home gardening. We are weekend warriors. We both work full time. What we get to on the weekends is pretty much it. Parsley is another great one. Grapes come back every year. The parsley is usually about 2 years. So it'll last about 2 years. This overwintered. Look how happy it is. That's ready to harvest right now. I pick around the edge and I'll leave center 25% and it'll keep producing. We have thyme that needs to get cleaned up, but it was a tiny little plant and now look at it. It's just sprawled. These are garlic chives that were planted last year. Also doing very well. Very happy. Here is an oregano, a different type of oregano that put off really beautiful flowers. So we just need to deadhead those, but the oregano itself is doing really well. Quite happy. And I think, is that a columbine? I can't remember. I planted a lot of these things so long ago. And guess what? Tags, I don't care how good they are. They do not last. Eventually they will go away. And then you don't know what the heck you planted. But that's okay. Sometimes it's just a fun game. But they come back every year and they're so pretty. They put off a couple bunches of flowers. They bloom twice, which we love. All right. We've got some cold weather vegetables we actually got into the ground. So this is tatsoi. And I put them in little clusters. I could thin them out even more, but I like especially the baby lettuce variety. I will be harvesting these just like this when they're nice and small. Keep them smaller. Oh, but look at that, guy's already starting to bolt. It's already starting to get warm for some of these cold weather crops. I got them in as soon as I could, but you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes it's just not soon enough. And that's okay. Next up, we have our spinach. So these were so tiny. And now look at them. They look so good. Also ready to harvest. So I just pick out the outer leaves and leave about 25% in the middle. And they'll keep going until it gets too warm and then they don't want to play anymore. I already need to come in here. And again, this is home compost that we put around this. So notice all the little weeds. It's okay. You just have to keep on top of it. So this is my favorite tool right here. Cheers. The stirrup hoe. So notice the stirrup on the end of it. And this thing is so nice. We can sharpen it. And then you just scrape them out. And when they're really tiny like that, they come out much easier. Just disturb them. And this just keeps the edges nice and clean without having to necessarily bend over and get them. And try and make sure that the roots are exposed so that they dry out and they die. Because sometimes if you don't do that, you can see what happens when you strap hoe an area and then either you miss a spot or they find a way to continue to keep going. So if they're bigger and you only cut the top off, These ones have long tap roots. If you just cut the top off, they'll regrow. And then you're fighting them to pull the actual root out. Or maybe we missed a spot, like when you're shaving your legs and you miss a spot. Who knows what happened? Our tomatoes are going to go here. Our big slicers are going to go right there again. This is Miner's lettuce. My first time really successfully growing it. We started that from seed as well. Little bunches there, and then some more weeds that popped up, but those will be easy to pull. This is cat mint. Our cat actually really loves this. She'll roll around in it. Our English thyme is doing well. Our tarragon, this thing was barely peeking above the ground, and already it's just so happy. That is Italian oregano. Nice little bunch there. This bed right here is some potatoes that Cole just put in. So he's so good, put labels on them. I like these tall posts because they're easier to see. And also they kind of double as hose corrallers. Sometimes I do need to pull a hose through here, and that helps me to not pull it through the bed and disturb my poor little plants. These are nice. So this one is purple potatoes. And these are fingerlings that he just planted. So this will take a week or so to start popping up. Over here we have some bok choy, and this is one that's also going to bolt here pretty soon. It's getting up to 70s during the day. I think the dog stomped through here. The gate was left open last weekend. Yep, the monster. He just stomps through everything. And we have purple bok choy. So pretty and very good for you. So you can thin these and let them form the full big heads of bok choy, or harvest them like I do. I just take the outer leaves and throw them into the stir fry, the salad, or whatever. This that looks like a total mess is actually russet potatoes. You can see they're starting to come up here. We just need to go through and pick out the things that are not russet potatoes and get that cleaned up too. A lot of work, guys, not gonna lie. Things that we've learned in the past 6 years. Did we start too big? Of course we did. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Because it is so fun. I just love it. It is very therapeutic. Being able to grow your own food and come out here and get your hands dirty, it's my therapy. I spend a lot of time in front of a computer screen, and being able to come out here, the birds and everything, coming out here and being able to grow things and knowing how to do that, having that skill, it's something that I always wanted to do. I get that from my great grandmother. She had a really amazing garden, so I think it was passed down through the generations. It is a really great way to keep yourself active, keep yourself outside. There's always work to be done, which can be overwhelming. That's something else that I would say is realistic expectations, which sometimes it's okay to not, because then you don't know what you don't know, right? And sometimes it's better to just go for your dream. And is your dream bigger than you can handle? Probably, but that's okay, because you can always change it if you decide that it's too much and you want to scale things back here or there. We actually did remove an entire bed on the back row there, more because it was a room issue. We wanted more room back there to drive the tractor and everything through, but also to cut back on, do I really need a garden this big for 2 people? Absolutely not. We always have way more food than we could possibly handle. But it's just so fun. And so don't temper yourself when it comes to planning out your ideal dream garden. I think it's worth it. And again, you can always use whole sides of it just for planting flowers. Year 6, it is just this part, just the garden is almost a full-time one-person job. And then the rest of the property is another person. But I would also say that being okay with where things are at. I just showed you guys all of the messiness, all of the weeds, and it's okay. We're going to get to it. This is a normal garden. This is real, and it's still beautiful. And there was definitely a time when I would make sure, before I did a video like this, I would make sure everything was perfect. It's going to reflect on my personhood. But people want to see this. They want to see what it's really like. I'm happy to share it with you all. I think it's very important. And I hope that you enjoy it. I really love being out here. It is my zen. And there's few things that are as gratifying as being able to come out and do work like this and then turn around and see the results of that and be able to enjoy it be able to have friends and family over to enjoy it. We're going to have our first big party of the year is coming up the first weekend of May to celebrate my leaving the hospital and going full-time in my business. Be when we get it finalized, working out of that little shed right there. It's my new little office space, which is perfect because it looks over the garden. And for me, that's revitalizing. I know some people would think that's, you have too much going on that you're going to get distracted, but it actually rejuvenates me when I work outside a lot on my laptop. That's my laptop lifestyle. I would say read everything you can about gardening and your zone, particularly in your area, but then also really learn about your soil. We have very sandy soil. The pH is neutral, which is nice. So it drains very well, but it also leaches out any nutrition very quickly. So I have to actually use a little bit more frequent fertilization and building up things like calcium for the tomatoes so they don't get the blossom end rot, because that sand is just gone, and we have to water more frequently because of the sand situation. It dries out very quickly. So researching that type of stuff is very important, but then also realizing that your garden is different. Even parts of the garden are different. Even parts of your yard are different. There's little micro climates everywhere. And it's really just an experiment. And every year I learn something new. I figure out something else that I like. And some things that I liked when we first started gardening here, now I'm like, I'm over it. I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm definitely leaning towards how many perennials can I get in here, and how many ways can I make this a little bit simpler so we have more time to enjoy it as opposed to just constantly working in it. Weeds are inevitable. Bugs are inevitable. The only thing we can do is keep them under control and then just embrace it. And know that if you have one plant, that's basically the same as having zero. If you have 5 plants, then you will have 5 plants. So that's kind of how that goes. If I have 3, they'll all die. If I have 5, then they won't all die, and then I will be drowning in zucchini or whatever it is, tomatoes. So it just seems to be what it is. So that's okay. And having a compost pile is absolutely necessary. Though right now we're not able to put actual vegetable scraps and kitchen scraps because of the dogs. We need to have an enclosure where we can keep it protected from them. But having that has been key. So not every part of the yard and the garden is going to be beautiful all the time, but it's all necessary and part of the process, and ways to just keep it tidy and clean. And there you go. So those would be my takeaway lessons from the garden. And to know that some things will evolve and you'll have new favorite areas, like this arbor here. This arbor is definitely one of my favorite things ever. My husband and I built this from arborvitaes that we had knocked down in the front of the yard to clean that area up out there. And it was just one of those things that you just conceive of or you see in Pinterest. And then it actually turns out and you're like, holy crap. So it is one of my favorite rooms out in the entire area. Although I think my little shed might be my next favorite. And I just love it. It's just any of those little magical areas that you can create for yourself. It's your sanctuary. And I think that's the way that it should be. Your home should be your sanctuary. And I think it's worth the effort. It's worth the investment. And while, yes, again, it's a lot of work, but it's yours. And we own this. And that's crazy. I just love it. All right. So that wraps up our garden tour, guys. And this is, I forgot to mention, this is April 21st. I don't even have my watch on. April 21st is the day after Easter. We just roll with it and we get done what we can get done. And that is enough. It has to be, because you have nothing else, right? And eventually we'll get to that point where we're able to hire in more help. We have done that with the lawn. Our lawn is actually looking quite nice. This used to be all nasty pasture grass that was patchy and full of crabgrass. The year that we moved in, that whole swath right there had to get dug up about, I don't know, seemed like 20 feet deep to put down new septic lines because our septic tank tanked on us, and can't do without that. So and it's right before our wedding, and we had our wedding out here. It was kind of a scramble to get grass to grow, but it did, and it was beautiful and it was amazing. And now we have this beautiful pasture. So definitely worth the investment and the time. But hiring out those certain things like fertilization, they can do it pretty much for the same price as what we can buy the bags for. And then they can do it in like 20 minutes, whereas it would take us just about a full day. So sometimes you just got to buy back your time, be smarter about it so that you can focus on other things like getting this little garden together and then actually enjoying the space. So once we are able to buy back more of our time, trust me, we will be doing that as well. All right, guys, that is the end of this garden tour. I will try and be better about doing more frequent ones, but we get so busy actually working in the garden. Coming out here and doing the tours is something else. Morning time seemed to work really well for me, so we will work on that. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and we'll see you on the next one.